for you.
And is this where you need or want this, or does it not matter?
That is a good spot for it.
Okay. All right. For those of you on TikTok, we're just waiting to see if it's actually functioning here. If you could let Paul know if you can hear me and see me all right, that would be helpful. Excellent. So we've also got YouTube going. Okay. So we're going to give this a second for a few people to tune in.
Get the A-OK on YouTube.
All right, very good. So you guys can hear and see okay on TikTok and YouTube, right? Very good. So I do want to make an announcement before we go ahead and get started that we have just purchased a funeral home with 4 floors of different offices for our headquarters for the Ivy League Psychic Academy. And we also have a chapel within the funeral home. It's absolutely beautiful. It's an old 1800s style Victorian. We're really excited about it. It's about a block away from the waterfront in Lake Erie. And we're going to be transitioning into there in the next few weeks, hoping to, okay, God willing, COVID related, open the doors to the public, I'm assuming around maybe June or July. But we are starting weekly services. So I am launching, it's called Roots Revival Interfaith. This is going to be sort of a discussion panel of weekly services on Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern through a podcast. This will be going up onto YouTube afterward, and we're going to be speaking on similar topics to what I talk about here on the free mini classes with 3 reverends. So myself, Paul Casey, Healing Arts, Christina Del Rey, who is our astrologer here at the Academy, and Dani Johnson, who is our numerology teacher here at the Academy. So the belief behind Roots Revival Interfaith is that when we look at our intuitive intelligence and we examine things like numerology and astrology alongside it, it forms this perfect unit of guidance and wisdom and healing, a source that we can all tap into. We want to get back in touch with those roots. Okay, so we hope to see you at Sunday service starting, January 3rd is our very first?
Yep.
Correct, at 8 p.m. All right, very good. So I think we have a few people tuned in, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you that are on YouTube, if you could give this class a thumbs up, it would be greatly appreciated. Feel free to subscribe if you have not already done so. And if you hit that bell, you'll get alerts when I go live for the Monday show where I take your personal questions for any free mini classes that we're doing.
Just scoot a bit to
this way?
Yeah, love it. Right in the center now.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Perfect. That was awesome.
I do also want to say to those of you that are on TikTok, we'll be switching over to YouTube about halfway through this curriculum. So if you want to see the full thing, you can find me on YouTube at Ask Ivy. Hope to have you over there. All right. Anything else we need to talk about before I do my intro and get into this?
I can handle donations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So for those of you on YouTube, we do have membership options. If you hit the join button underneath the video, and there's also a link in the description that'll give you what we offer for perks. There are 3 levels, so check those out. There's some good stuff in there. And down the bottom of the chat next to the emojis is a donation button. So if you feel the need to donate, you're enjoying the show, you can click right there.
All right, very good. So let's get into this. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium. I'm a Taino Airwalk, and I run a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where we train people internationally, online, and everything from psychic mediumship development to numerology to tarot to astrology, meditation, children as well as adults. So we hope to see you there for classes. What you've caught here tonight is one of the free mini classes I've been putting up. I've been calling it the Quarantine Series. When the pandemic hit, I started offering these weekly. So if you want to see a full list of the Quarantine Series classes, you can go onto YouTube here at Ask Ivy and hit playlist. Paul, my adorable producer here, has compiled everything. He's so organized. How you doing, Paulie?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. All right. Hope everyone's doing good this week. We are talking about level jumping this week. And every single mini class I've done has been based on Spirit coming to me, showing me that I was supposed to teach on whatever topic it was. And then all of a sudden, all of these examples would start to pop up all around me. And with level jumping, it was a little bit different. The minute Spirit came to me and showed me this, I was sort of intrigued because the concept of level jumping is something I've examined my entire life. So I'm going to be speaking today from a couple different angles. First of all, on a personal note, born a minority, I'm Hispanic, okay, Native American, and female. So I have fought my entire life to earn simple things. And along the way, I have realized that people who were far less deserving than I was, who hadn't worked toward it at all, would get things that I had actually earned. It's infuriating. Those of you who've had a similar walk in life would understand what I'm talking about, that there is a certain level of entitlement that goes along with certain genders and races, and there is a lot of disenfranchisement that happens here. So it can, on a personal note, really cause for you to want to level jump, even more so than the average person, because the mentality is no matter how hard I work, I'm never going to get what I'm worthy of getting. I'm never going to receive what I have earned. And it is easier to just sometimes think of taking, okay, or finding a cheap route, an easy way. So we even just, 2 weeks ago, I was trying to secure the funeral home I was just talking about for the next level for our ministry here. And everything was in the bag. Paul had done all the paperwork. We were locking things down with the final stage of contracts. And the woman said, I need to talk to you. I need you to answer a couple questions. And they were about race. And she said, well, you don't have to answer. And I thought, I'm not sure if I want to do this or not, but they already have my name. My last name is Rivera. And so I was like, I've encountered this before where I have been kept out from different housing situations because of my name. Yet if I send a white man in right after me, he'll get it. So I was hesitant to say anything to her, but I figured I'm going to go ahead and just see what happens. So I tell her, she wants to know, are you Hispanic? Are you Native? What's going on? I tell her within 24 hours, I was rejected. This is a common occurrence for many of us. And when you see things like that happen repeatedly in your life, I think what's really important to know is that there is a bigger purpose to it and you are part of a much bigger mission. And if I didn't know that at all times, I would be a cheat and a thief and wanting to step on the backs of people who are not deserving. So I was very fortunate that things worked out, but that is one of many examples I've experienced personally. Now, another angle that I'll be, speaking on from experience here tonight is running this school. So running the Ivy League Psychic Academy, now I think we're in our 9th year, right? And we were doing it for a while even before it became official. I have seen over and over again people come who want to take the classes and they say that they want to come in for spiritual development, and then they steal the curriculum, they quit their day jobs, and they go off and they open up psychic academies. So this is something personally through the school that has happened 12 times at this point. Now, one of the other important things I think we need to remember, okay, is that when we see people thieving and stealing, they clearly don't know who they are. They clearly don't know if they have anything to offer. And they really don't believe that there's going to be any consequence to that. Now, I realize in hindsight, after 9 years of dealing with the theft, that this is a blessing in disguise, because I have also watched 12 times those same people who stole fall hard. Some of them got higher than others, but the karma is always there. And that brought healing to me personally, especially in regards to the first point that I mentioned here, being a female, being a minority, always being cheated out of things that I have more than enough earned. And to see that there was a consequence when I got to see it play out in my own life with these students who stole, to see that sometimes it took only like 7 or 8 months, sometimes it took years, sometimes it was almost excruciating to wait to get to see what the consequence was going to be of those actions. But it's really important as we get into today's curriculum that you trust. I have witnessed it myself repeatedly, that there is always karmic delivery and there is universal law in order here. So that puts me at rest. Okay. So those were some interesting dynamics. The other thing that I'm going to be talking about, or from what angle I'm coming from today, is just what I see with my clients every day. It seems like there is a theme here I've been dealing with now for about 10 years, whether it be on social media, on my posts, or it be the clients that come to me for longer extended readings, or it be the clients that like to send in the one question email reads, or the people who come on the live shows. There's always a theme. And it is that they want the answers. They want me to tell them what to do. They want me to tell them what would be best or what's going to happen. But they just come back again a week or two later, don't want to do the work. They just want a level jump. They basically want me to be a magician instead of a medium. They want me to do it for them somehow. And it's frustrating. It makes me feel like I'm wasting my time, like I'm wasting my energy. Like I don't want to do this work if a large portion of the people that come to me refuse to put in the effort. So reminds me of back when I was a personal trainer. I would see the same thing, right? So I'd help them lose a few pounds. My clients would come in, and the next thing I know, they went and they pigged out all week and they fell off their diet. And, then they don't have the energy to be coming in. And it's sort of like, okay, it's always sort of a mark on the trainer, right? It's always sort of a dark smudge on the reader. But the reality is that everyone needs to be holding themselves accountable. We all individually need to be mindful of everything that we're doing. No one can rescue you. And so it helped me to continue on with my light work, knowing that I'm here only to do my part. As long as Spirit tells me to show up, I will do that with unconditional love and as little judgment as possible. And if they're going to fall, they're going to fall. And those who work will reap the benefits of it. Okay, so those are just a couple things that I've dealt with personally that have shaped and structured the curriculum today and how I feel about level jumping. I do also just want to tell you guys real quick to go ahead, post your questions and comments here in the feed. Paul will be taking those throughout. And if they don't fit in with the curriculum whenever I'm talking, then we'll be taking them at the end. Okay, I enjoy the interaction. All right, so level jumping. What are we really talking about? We are talking about people feeling entitled to receive something that they have not earned. This could be by personal standards, societal standards, but we know that the universe has a very different standard, and that if we are not abiding within that order and that law, there will be karmic consequences to this. So when I'm talking about karma, I'm not talking about punishment. I'm talking about free will. I'm talking about high versus low energy. I'm talking about payout. I'm talking about what's earned. So we could say that when I'm talking about karma, I'm referring to you reaping what you have sown. Okay. So I want to talk about the 3 different ways or the 3 different reasons that people are level jumping. So number 1, they don't know who they are. Okay. Maybe you don't know who you are. If you are not comfortable with your own self, If you don't know your toxic habits and you don't know where you're proficient, you don't know what your skill set is, you don't know how your moods go, you are able to be really brainwashed and formed into anything that your parents, your teachers, society, whatever they want you to be. Okay. You have to know who you are to really develop your character and integrity and earn what is rightfully yours. It requires a ton of introspection. Every time we're going through an opportunity in life to level up, we're going to have to be introspective about how we handle that every step along the way. And people who can't be introspective, they're incapable of it because they cannot accept where they are. They can't accept who they are. You have to start there. Right? So we have a lot of that going on. We have a lot of people who, for instance, have been told who they are. You know, maybe you're one of these people. You never seem to know what you're really thinking or what you should be doing or how you really feel because your parents always told you who you are. You were always told what you were going to do with your life and you were abiding. Okay, that in itself is like a brainwashing process. So that's number one. Number two, people level jump because they don't want to do the work. They may know exactly who they are. They may know exactly how they can manipulate to get what they need or what they want. They may know that they have some struggles in certain areas, and so they're just going to, work around that and cheat their way through it. So people who don't want to do the work, like I spoke of students who tried to thieve the curriculum, right? They are only interested in getting the end results. They want instant gratification and they feel that they are somehow entitled to have that. There is a tremendous amount of negative karmic payout for those who do this. And when we watch people doing it, we can see them actually accumulate because they're skilled in it. I think of like narcissists and sociopaths, right? They're pretty skilled in accumulating what they feel is rightfully theirs to the point where they're lying to themselves to go get it and take it from other people. It's dog eat dog. It's step on other people's backs. But they will reach a point, regardless of the financial materialistic accumulation, where that starts to eat away at them energetically, mentally, emotionally, physically. It does come. All right. So number three, people who level jump another reason to do it is they're afraid of failure. Now, this one is tricky because nobody wants to waste their time. Nobody wants to waste their energy. No one wants to spend years investing in a relationship that may not turn out, a career that may not work out. You don't want to be putting in only to find that it's going to leave you out in the cold. So people are level jumping because they don't want to put in that much effort. They maybe don't have a ton of confidence in the outcome. They don't want to risk it. Or they have low self-esteem. It's possible that you don't feel worthy. And so if you don't feel that it is rightfully yours, if you don't feel that it is worth the effort, that it will turn out in your favor if you continue to work at it, it's possible you're not going to get that turnout and you are cutting corners. So you have to know that you're worthy of having it, or you have to know that the process is worthy. You have to put in the effort. So sometimes we just have to come to terms with that, okay? So here's how I handle things, on a personal note. Spirit tells me to do something, I say, you know what, I'm not going to overthink it. This looks like an awfully large mountain to have to climb. But I am not going to analyze it. I know that I'm being called to do it. And I'm not going to base whether or not I show up to do it on what the outcome is looking like. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm not going to bother to do it if it doesn't give me this. I just say, I know I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do what I'm told to do for today. I'm going to be of service. So if you base everything on the ultimate outcome, you're running the risk of cutting corners, level jumping, and essentially not being willing to do what you're supposed to do to get it. Okay, so you're not going to get it. All right, so we have, a couple different types of personality types here. We're talking about those who just don't know who they are. It's lost soul syndrome, as I refer to it. Just lost souls. They just don't know. Okay, category number 2, they don't want to do the hard work. They're thieving. And number 3, those that are so afraid of failure that they won't put in the effort or their self-esteem is so low, they're the squares, okay? So when I talk to my students about square personalities, they would say in the 70s, like, don't be a square man. These are about people who have to have everything in order. They have to have all the proof before they'll make a move. They're the procrastinators. They hem and they haw. All right, so whichever category you think you're fitting into here, you really want to start working with that. Now, we're going to get into the solutions to this. We're going to talk about 4 different ways that you can get up over these bad habits and maximize your prosperity. But we are going to switch off here from TikTok and go on to YouTube. So those of you who've been tuning in, if you want to see the rest of the class, shift over to YouTube at Ask Ivy, and I will see you there.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments coming in so far on any of this?
Not yet, but there were, everyone is excited to be here. It's another great mini class.
Good.
But I had a comment here where it was related to your first point about being a minority female. That was hard to say.
Yeah.
Well, one, going through this with you and seeing that happen, like right before my eyes,
Right.
not only just that once, but in, every step of the way, there's like these unseen things that appear magically.
Yeah, Paul has been shocked, right, as a white male to be in a relationship with a Hispanic female and see the amount of prejudice, and it is shocking,
Yeah, and in addition to that, I was thinking what popped up with that grant recently and the entitlement there, that there is everyone just trying to, this BS, and they're entitled to something even though they haven't earned it.
Right. So he's referring to a grant. I was recently, we were given $10,000 to grow the ministry here. And yeah, immediately it was all over the news. So other people thought they were entitled to that money, and this and that. And it's like, you really can't win sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. So, Paul's a great example of someone who has lived within that white privilege his whole life. And then as a male, within the system of patriarchy, and is just shocked to witness what goes on in a Hispanic minority female's, life all the time. Every step of the way, there's a battle. And so, I think that this class is very timely. And I think that the more of us that are getting on board with the character development, the integrity, and the faith, that there is order here to all of this in the universe, the better off we will all be. And I do actually believe that we're about to see a major shifting of hands throughout this awakening with wealth, from, the head becomes the tail and the tail becomes the head. I think that's what's about to happen. So I feel it's very timely. Okay. All right. Again, we're going to continue on here with the curriculum. You guys feel free to post your questions or comments. And yes, if you have a question about a situation in particular in your life that you're struggling with, or how to help someone else, we're taking those as well. All right. So I want to talk about solutions. What do we do about it? What do we do? Because this temptation is not going anywhere. Everybody wants to level jump. So we are going to go through the 4 steps, breaking it down to number 1 eventually here on the best solutions that I have for you. So number 4, stop double thinking. Make up your mind and keep it set. Stop looking behind you in the rearview mirror. You must have self-control. Self-control equals thought control. This is the number 1 biggest issue I see with my clients and my students at different points. Well, how do I do it? Well, how do I do it? Well, how do I do it? Well, what do I, what if? Or do you think I'm ready? Or, I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. And it's like, stop coming to me with that. I cannot do the hard work for you. You have got to control yourself. You have got to make up your mind and keep it set. Well, how? Well, how? Well, how'd you get in this mess? How did you get so double-minded? How many years of your life? This is what we all need to examine. How many years of your life, and in how many different areas of your life, have you allowed yourself to get this out of control, this weak-minded? Stop. You got to stop that. If this is a habit that you've had for 10, 20, 30 years, guess what? It's going to take more than one attempt at reversing your mind and learning how to be disciplined in your mind. I always tell my students, if you had 30 pounds to lose and you thought you were going to get on the treadmill for a week or two and kind of change your diet, not extremely, but tweak it and get on that treadmill maybe, 3 days out of the week for 30 minutes, and you were going to lose that weight, you have got another thing coming. We are talking 5 to 6 days a week, 45, 50-minute workouts, intense cardio, and altering your diet to see a little bit of weight come off. And then you got plateaus. It is consistent effort that is required for you to learn to control your mind. Consistent. But the nice thing is that it gets easier. So it's like habit forming with anything else. The more you do it, the more you feed it, the more of it you will get. So we want to train ourselves to stop those toxic thoughts dead in their tracks and to replace them with a positive. I think that what helps a lot, if you are an overthinker, if I have any like Virgos or Geminis in the house, okay? If you're an overthinker, put visuals up around you or words, little sayings, Post-its, whatever. Cut out pictures from magazines, I don't care. But put visuals up around you that will help you to reach that goal, that will help you to replace those negative thoughts with an actual image or a feeling. Close your eyes and feel what it would be to accomplish that task, to win and make it to the finish line. Now, eventually, you're going to, like a tick, you're going to notice when you're starting to feel like garbage. And because you're feeling bad, you must have just had some toxic thoughts. So it will get faster. It will get easier. Okay, but for a while, it's going to be hard work. And no matter how many times you ask people to rescue you, they can't do this part. We have a free mini class up here called Emotion versus Intuition that can help those of you that struggle with double thinking. Because your emotions come in and they typically are lying to you. Your emotions, your feelings come in and they tell you that you should quit, that it's a waste of time. They remind you of how exhausted you are, how bad this process feels. But your intuition is telling you the truth. Energy never lies. So your gut instinct is telling you, no, you have to keep going. Even though you don't see all the results right now, you have to stick with it. You have to stick with it. But if you let your emotion rule, you're going to think that that's the right thing to do. And we live in a society that says, follow your heart, follow your feelings. That is the worst advice I have ever heard. Terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. Okay. So check out that class. If you are one of these people who struggles with making up your mind and keeping it set, check out Emotion versus Intuition here on the playlist. Number 3. Know where you're going. Okay. A lot of us are level jumping or just even flat out quitting in life because we really don't have any clue where we're headed. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. Therefore, we have no passion. We feel like we have no roadmap. We feel like we're free falling, like we're just floating about. Get a life contract reading with me. We can look at what you signed on to before you came to Earth. Go to Christina Del Rey and get your astrological chart. Look at where you came from. Look at where you're going. Why are you here on Earth? Okay. Book with Dani Johnson here at the school for your numerology chart. Or Paul Casey, get a tarot reading. But go to someone who can give you some actual light work and spiritual guidance about what your purpose is on Earth. You don't want to do that, or you're like, well, I don't have any money for that. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to pay for that. Okay. Sit with your guides. Sit with the guides that were appointed to you before you came to Earth. You have a work and money guide who does nothing all day, every day, but watch over your life contract, your purpose of being here on the planet. Talk to them. All right. This is not that hard, but when we don't know where we're going, we're not going to have the energy to continue on like that. It's like you're treading water. Okay. So you feel very, very lost. I would also say this. Understand once you have figured out where you're going, you have a game plan. Understand that game plan is going to pivot. You don't set the rules. You can only agree to be of service and finish what you signed on to. But the universe has its own agenda. And I have seen repeatedly people who are doing the right thing, they're doing what's within their life contract, but there are twists and turns, it zigs, it zags. You'll be doing something for a year or two, and then it'll just be neatly put up on a shelf. And you're supposed to start something else. Okay, do whatever is shown for you to do as the next step. Do not start a journey and dictate what it's going to look like, when it's going to look like that, and what the ending is. That is not the way. You should know in blind faith the next step in front of you and be willing to move forward without ego. All right, so know your journey, but do not let your ego dictate the journey. Ego is fear, it's control, it's manipulation. Ego, fear, is the polar opposite of love and faith and being in the flow, being in the way of the universe, okay? We have a free mini class. If you have issues with ego, okay, that fear, that control, watch a free mini class we have up here called How to Check Your Ego. That'll help you. Did we have a question coming in?
No, you have
What is it?
it was popping up on your right side. It's a little bit.
Are we going to be able to edit that? I'm having hair drama again. It's the curls rebelling against me. Okay. So one of the things that we see here is that when we're supposed to be accomplishing something and we find that all of a sudden we're being told to go in another direction, we can feel hopeless. We can feel so confused and overwhelmed. Like, I thought I was doing the right thing. What's the point? Nothing ever works out. You have to trust and know that later what you were working on will come into play. All right. So I think of how I was going for my journalism degree, and that took 6.5 years, right, of focusing on my journalism degree, only to be told to come out and start doing this type of work for the public, which was like suicide to that degree. But, 9-10 years later, I'm using that journalism again. So anything that you did in faith that was a part of your contract, it will never be lost. I will also say this. People have so much fear over making a mistake. What if I'm going in the wrong direction? What if I'm making a mistake? What am I supposed to do about it? It will be used for your greater good if you are still attempting to do what you're supposed to do. You're just going to have faith in that. Okay. So even things that are done incorrectly, the universe is still supporting you. It will be converted into something that can be used for your favor. You've got me paranoid about my hair now. What am I going to do?
Done. It looks great.
I don't know. There's nothing I can do.
Jill said that your curls are gorgeous, and I couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you very much. They are rebelling today. They are going to come out. I don't know what we're going to do about it. Okay, so I want to talk about, all right, number 2, prepare for obstacles. Every new level, a new devil. All right, there is no way to level up in your life, to truly accomplish something significant, and to not have to face attacks, and blocks. We just redid a mini class up here a couple days ago called Fighting the Dark. So if you have this issue, you're going to want to check that out. Now, if you are prepared for obstacles, you are going to understand that when it's time for you to level up, the self-esteem is going to get attacked. Literal attacks on like your relationships, maybe even your finances, heaven forbid, your health. These things are going to make it so that you are overwhelmed and you will often think, I'm going in the wrong direction. I must have made a mistake. Okay. You're prepared. You're just going to be able to plow on through those things. It really is a science. It's not that complicated. Okay. If you also have a lot of fear about leveling up because your confidence has been beat down, or you've always been told who you're going to be, what you're supposed to do with your life. You've never been free, even as a child, to really express who you are or explore what you're here to do. If that's an issue for you, I want you to check out another class called Your Fear of Leveling Up. All right. Number 1. What do we do? What are the solutions to level jumping? You have to have faith in yourself. You have to have enough confidence that you will see this thing through, and you have to know that the universe is supporting you in that. You have to know that you are worthy of receiving what is rightfully yours. I don't even care if you have the skill set. There could be 50,000 other people with more skill in that area than you, but because you have spent the time on character development and integrity, and you are working within your life contract, you literally have favor. Favor from God, favor from the universe, favor on what you're doing. You just go right to the front. It will eventually happen. Okay. It's not easy to have faith in yourself when you don't really understand any of this. So you have got to start with, and this is what I want everybody to do as homework. Ask yourself, why am I level jumping? Okay. And ask yourself, where am I level jumping? So if we can narrow it down to some of the most common areas that I see level jumping in relationships. People who are insistent that they're supposed to get married, that they're supposed to buy a property, that they're supposed to have their babies. They will level jump in love. They don't have enough confidence in themselves to wait. They don't have enough faith that the right person will come along, so they just settle. They take whoever will put that ring on their finger first, whoever's available. And that's backed by society. That's backed often by their families who say, this is the right way to do it. Get married and, have everything established by like 27, 20 years old, 32, you're already old. This is ridiculous. I mean, that's nuts. Okay. So don't lose faith in the process. Don't rush everything and lose faith in yourself and what you're deserving of having. If it is yours, it cannot be taken away. I also see a lot of people level jumping in relationships because they don't want to look at the relationship. They don't want to admit that this relationship is not it, that this is not the one, that it's not good enough for them. So they want quickly to lock it in, to lock it down. We see the same thing with jobs. People just want more and more out of their career, more and more out of their job because they don't want to slow down long enough to realize they're in the wrong place. This paycheck is not fulfilling. Materialism is not satisfying enough. They're in the wrong career. And a lot of people don't have enough faith in themselves to start over. So when we look at a society full of people who were told what to do, and they've got maybe college debt or mortgages or marriages that are broken, or they have kids that they're responsible for now, they don't want to back out of any of that and have to start over. They don't have faith in themselves. And we see a lot of people too who are trapped in marriages where you have an unsupportive spouse. You have two people who think the same way, and one wants to get real and they want to tap into their life contract. They want to passionately do what they need to do to feel fulfilled in their life. And you got the other one saying, you better fulfill what you signed on to here. And that is bring home the bacon or whatever, you're contracted into all these different things. But the only contract you should really be paying attention to is your life contract. And if you messed up, it's okay. It's not too late to start over, but you have got to have confidence in yourself to do this. It's not easy, but it can be done. Okay. All right. So in a nutshell, there it is. That's what I've seen. That's what I continue to see. It always seems to fall into these categories. And these are the solutions that I give to my students, my clients, myself, my kids. This works. Apply it, and it will be a different scenario. But I think also we need to remember at all times that there is universal law. It is real. It seems like chaos here, but there is order to this madness. There is such a thing as manifestation. It can be through energy manipulation, manifestation, a worthy cause. What you deserve, you will be getting more of if you're earning it. If manifestation, law of attraction doesn't work for you, it could be this. And know that things flow and your needs are always met, not always when you want them to be, but always on time. If you are doing what you're supposed to do, you are in favor. Do we have questions or comments?
Yes. So Jill says that she's definitely an overthinker and is trying to just take the leaps now.
Okay.
Georgia Peachy Pie says, I'm an overthinker and battling weight. And Handsome Guy 1980 says, I'm an overthinker too. Gemini with tons of Virgo in my chat. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
Yeah, that'll do it. So I want to say that the girl who brought up the weight issue, this is an excellent opportunity in your life to master this skill. And I think that we're all given, different areas where we can learn how to apply this once and for all. And you figure it out in one area, you figured it out in every other area. The overthinker too, our Gemini guy, right? That was always the area for me. It was if I learned how to control my mind, then I figured all of this out. But we all have a weak spot. And I love that if we find our weak spot, this is where we can start applying these skills and master everything in life. Very good.
I think you're having like an empathic thing happening here. Like, do you see your screen? Is it like really bright right now? The lights go crazy?
Nope.
Huh. Wacky.
That is.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes. There's one from Zoe.
Okay.
Says, I met with someone who gave me a reading, and she said I will reach certain points and meet a particular fire sign in 2022. I think I'm trying to level jump because I'm trying to find this person. How do I handle or work through the in-between?
Okay, so we have a class called Reaching the One. And I designed that class for people like you who are waiting really for that right person, or they think maybe they're with them, they've been told that they're going to be coming, and they want to be ready for that. So how can we authentically be ready for the right person, a soulmate that can function in the day-to-day? That's what we're looking for. We have 5 to 6 different soulmate options over the course of our life, and we want to find the one that can function. So in this class, we go through certain exercises that prepare you to be ready. I would say that if you take that and you've gone through the exercises, you are properly manifesting this individual with the majority of focus on yourself and your self-development, then that's it. You have to just sort of let go and release. If there's a nagging sense that you might somehow miss it or that something is amiss, it's very possible that what your reader didn't explain to you was free will. So what I find most readers don't understand is that when they talk about the future, they talk about it as though it is definitive. They talk about the future as though it is destiny charted, it is fixed, cannot be manipulated, it's gonna happen. And that's not the case with love. So with love, we find that it is, yes, coming up in the future, potentially, but it technically falls into a free will zone. Every love affair does. And so when we're talking about free will, we're talking about that person having things that they need to do in order for this to happen. It's possible that you have things that you were supposed to do in order for it to work out. And if those things don't happen, we can manipulate timeline. It's possible it won't occur. there are all kinds of things there. So all you can really do is be ready your own self. But yeah, that makes sense that you would feel like, you know, there's so much almost like pressure put on it. You don't want it to be a mess.
This one is from Catherine.
Okay.
Is caring less about losing fair weather friends common as you start leveling up?
Is caring less as you start leveling up, is that common? I would say so. I think it really depends on your zodiac sign. You know, I think our Gemini Virgo viewer here, I think he'd agree. You know, there's some of us in the zodiac that really don't care. There are others that, you know, used to have some more sentimental attachment, but as they evolve, there are just parts of their personality or being able to control like empathic energy better allows them to move forward. And there are other people who will feel that pain every single time. And I think it really just depends on the amount of energetic exchange you have with people. And that has a lot to do with what level empathic ability you're on. I think that it also, you know, becomes habitual with every level up, which is great. It gets easier every time, just like when we talked about habit forming, because every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off, right? So with every new level, you're going to have people that have to exit the scene. We just talked about this in the Fighting the Dark class that we did. And eventually you come to expect it. Eventually you will know that you have a level up coming in your life because things are getting very dramatic and things are starting to kind of go wrong. And you can feel the energy. You can feel the winds of change, but you're excited. You know it's going to be good. It's got to be good. If it's dramatic, it's got to be good. And you should at that point just be able to look around and be like, these are the people that aren't going with me on this journey. You know, it's always pretty obvious. And you can know that other people will be replacing them. That's the magical part. Yeah.
We have one from Trina.
Okay.
It says, as a double Pisces, moon and sun, I struggle with being in reality.
Okay.
My mind fades away a lot. How can I correctly level up when my emotions run so high always, seemingly more than others?
Well, we just recommended, I think when we were talking about maybe step number 2 or something, you'll have to go back and watch the video when it publishes, but we spoke about a class that I did here called Emotion versus Intuition. You're going to need to take that. And you're going to need to possibly watch it a couple times and apply it every day. This comes down to self-discipline and discipline of the mind. And that is the hardest thing to do. So yes, it's going to be about you figuring out when it's your emotion talking to you and when it's your intuition talking to you. It's going to be a choice that you make to go with that intuition instead of that emotion. And then make sure that you're being diligent with the thoughts. Remember that your thoughts are up to you to control. You know, not everything that enters into your mind is your own. Spirits from the light can manipulate your mind. Spirits and lower energies from the dark can manipulate your mind. That's for every human being. So not all your thoughts are your own, and you should be diligent and mindful at all times. When you feel like they are your own and they're just out of control, you need to remember that you can also dictate that. But just like getting into a good healthy routine with your eating and your, you know, daily hygiene, your sleep schedule, your exercise, it requires discipline.
Very good. Mm-hmm. I wanted to thank Jill for a donation. And Lauren had said, yes, oh my God, amazing. And Zoe said, thank you. I'm really trying to let time take its course and better myself. And I find that I keep falling back to pushing for the result. I'm a work in progress. Thank you.
Love it. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Absolutely for the donations. And I love what she said on that note. You know, that's such an important part of all of this is understanding that we are a work in progress and we can't just give up and throw in the towel. This is worth it. No matter how hard your journey is, it is worth it to really understand that everything here is not just about the payout. You know, the majority of life is spent developing yourself. Character development, integrity, spiritual development, that's the real journey. And that is the real payout. So we just live in a society that's got it all reversed. Okay. So we just want to kind of get back in sync with what's true and what's real. And be patient. Be patient with yourself. I would also say reward yourself. You know, every little triumph that you have, go ahead and give yourself a big pat on the back and reward yourself. We're very quick to beat up on ourselves and remember our failures and our embarrassments. But how much time do we really spend celebrating our little triumphs that no one else knows about? Okay. The universe is celebrating. You should too. All right. Thanks everyone again. Thank you for the donations. Thanks so much for tuning in. What is our next mini class?
Our next mini class is the What to Expect in 2021 on Tuesday, December 29th.
That's what I thought. Okay, so Tuesday, December 29th is our next free mini class. What to expect in 2021 with myself giving predictions for each zodiac sign. Christina Del Rey, our astrologer, giving your yes for each zodiac sign, but also the astrological oversight here for 2021. I always get my calendar when I get my yearly reading with her, and I mark all the important dates so that I know when to maximize my prosperity and when there could be like pitfalls, and I can avoid those. So hope you guys tune in. Otherwise, I will see you Monday for Ask Ivy, 8:30 p.m. Eastern here, where I take your personal questions. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Polly.
Welcome.
Thank you, Spirit. So what's going on? I got a